Hey there, welcome to this video. My name is Maria, and hopefully you've been watching some of our tutorials on how to start and create a paint party business if you've never had one before. Maybe you have had one and you're just looking for great ways to increase bookings on your calendar. You're looking to fill up your 2025 calendar. At the time of this recording, it's like January 2025. So maybe you're kicking off your business. I don't know what time of year you're finding this video, but I always start out by telling you just a little bit more about myself and how I came into this paint and sip world. Sorry, I'm a little tongue twisted today. Anyhow, I stumbled across this business 14 years ago, long before any of the franchises even existed in the paint party world. And I've shared a little bit about my story throughout the different videos that you might be watching. But I started because I wanted to stay at home with my boys who were in middle school at the time. I was definitely artsy and crafty kind of girl, scrapbooking world. But mostly I loved business. That's where my heartbeat is. I love business. I love marketing. Still love that today. And I discovered that doing part-time paint parties was a great way to make extra income. And I thought I was building something else on the side. I thought I was going to build up enough money to open up my own studio. And this studio would have like sewing and wood shop and cooking, all the things that I do not know how to do, by the way. And I just wanted this fun event place to teach people skills. And I wanted to learn how to sew. I don't love to sew because I don't know how to sew. And I just wanted a place like that, like where you could try different hobbies and things like that. Well, as I stumbled into this part-time paint party business, it just began to grow and grow and grow because it hadn't existed before. And I know today it does exist and it has existed for a long time, but that does not mean the market is saturated by any means. First of all, even though there are paint and sip venues and franchises, not everybody has access to go to them, right? The pricing, the part of the town that it's in. And by having local mobile businesses like ours, you have more access to your community and your city and where you live. And even if you live in a big city, I live in a suburb of Denver, Colorado. There's like a paint and sip place everywhere around here, right? Including us who are mobile, but we specialize in customized events, right? That's how you can position yourself is you specialize in customized private events. And yes, people want you to come to their place, their conference room, their school, their house. And so you get to decide when you want to work. You get to decide what type of part-time paint parties you want to be operating, or maybe you want to be full-time. Maybe you want to own an art studio at some point in time, and you're using this to build that up as well. So, really, the sky's the limit for what you're trying to build. I primarily speak into the part time paint and sip world. I still do this part time, and I have shifted who my customer base is definitely after 14 years in the business. And so, I'll talk about that as well. But you're here because you want to know 99 reasons to party, right? What are all the reasons why people want to even have a painting party at all? And what I will tell you is when I was new in this industry, along nobody else was here, like there was very, very few people in this industry, was I would tell people I do painting parties. They're like, what does that mean? Like you paint on walls? You come to my house and you paint a mural on the wall? Like they didn't understand what it was, right? Or they would respond with like, oh, that's for kids. Kids are artists, or that's a young people type of thing, right? Like you wouldn't, I just remember being at some of these like craft fairs or marketing fairs where we were like trying to tell people what we do and they just couldn't get it. And this is why having pictures is so important, especially if you're starting out your business. You want to have like pictures, like, do you want to paint like this, right? Do you want to come to a party like this? And you're showing people on your phone. I mean, I have my phone here. I could just kind of model it right there, right? Another drink of water because I have a scratchy throat. So anyhow, let's get to my slides because I have an outline, of course, for you always to get right to the point of what we're talking about. And really what you're looking at is filling up your calendar. If you're new to this business, if you're just looking to respark your business and you're like, I need to fill up my calendar, first of all, if you're a part-time paint party person, what does that mean for you? You know, is that 2 events a month, 4 events a month? I would consider, part-time to be 2 to 4 events a month. That's about, if you're making 500, $400 to $500 per party, you could be making anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 between those four events, assuming you're like in the 10 to 15, 20 people range. You can absolutely have some large parties. I have pictures on my slideshow of some large parties that I've had. I this month right now is January. I only have one party booked, and I intentionally did that because it's a possible 200-person event. And so today, actually, real life time that I'm making this recording, I actually ordered wood and paint, had to make sure I had all my supply connections because I'll be borrowing some aprons and palettes and brushes from my fellow gallery guides around the neighborhood. And then I actually have to buy some more supplies because I've actually never done a 200-person party by myself. I have been to events where there've been like thousands of people coming to do like a pop-up or something at a museum. But my most seated paint party group has been 100. So the 200 would definitely be quite a few people. So I don't have that many events, but let's move into like February. We're talking Valentine's Day. Like already, I think I have two events booked. I also have a marriage conference that I have a contract for. I have been doing this marriage conference for 5 to 6 years. I actually have a picture of it here on my slideshow coming up that I have had for the past 5 or 6 years. Every other month, I go out and I do this marriage conference, and it is a guaranteed 120 people at that event. So I already have all those dates on my calendar. That's already all filled up. I also do some annual events where they call me out every single year and I know they're coming. And so that is where you want to be. That is the sweet spot. You get to pay with the same customers, you know how they pay, you know what you're going to be preparing at that event. So that's like the sweet spot of where you want to be in your business, like that repeat high ticket number. But in the meantime, while you're building your business, it's still fantastic money. It is a little bit more hustle. You got to get your name out there, right? People don't know what you're doing. So you got to get people in the know of what you're doing, and you're going to need to put yourself out there, but you got to figure out who you're going to promote to, right? And so let's go ahead and start the outline so that we can get talking more about that. And I'm sorry about my scratchy voice. All right, so 99 reasons to have a pink party. You'll see why we talked about this. Actually, if you're on the email list, you already got the 99 reasons to party. That's what we just talked about. Anytime people are like, I just need an idea. Why do people want to have a pink party, right? So hopefully this will inspire that for you. The first thing you need to know is our Artsy manifesto. I like to start out with this all the time when we do trainings because you got to remind yourself about why people are coming to a party. And it's not about the art, it's always about the party, right? We're here for parties and events. We are art entertainers. And so it's not just the focus about painting. Painting is the tool that we're using to gather people together for a fun reason to celebrate something. And we are a culture of celebrating any little thing. Okay. So all you got to do is figure out why people, what's trending right now, right? What's coming up in the next month or two that people need to gather for whatever reason. Like right now in real time, football world is going on, right? So like playoffs are going off. So my husband went to a playoff party this morning. I did not go. I am sick, so I didn't go, of course. But why, football, sports, that's a reason why people gather. So the guys could be watching football and the gals can be painting a painting, right? Like just, you got to think of why people are gathering and how can we add in an element of art, right? So think of that. So that's our Artsy manifesto. You guys know you can go download that on our website, artsyassociation.com. More importantly, make your own manifesto. Why do you want to do this business? And what are the mantras that you're going to keep saying to yourself about this? So on the screen here, this is actually one of our early videos from Gallery on the Go. And this is what my business looked like. This was actually filmed in my house with my friends. And this is how Gallery on the Go started. This is why I did my business. And this is what my parties early on looked like. They were in home with food, with women. Like this is exactly the type of business and the customer base that I worked with. And this was what I built my business off of, right? These are my friends, even to this day. And so they're around a table, they're learning, they're painting, they're laughing and crying sometimes. And yeah, that's what we're all about, just this in-home party. But you have to get reasons to why people want to gather at their home. Why do women want to come around a kitchen table and paint, right? Like you got to figure out what's in that for them, because unless there's a specific reason to party, you got to paint that picture for them, right? All pun intended, not pun intended, wanting to get them to party. So you, as a paint partypreneur, you have to create images. You have to create things on your social media. You're like, ready to book Valentine's Day. Do you want to book a St. Patty's Day party, right? Like, are your kids bored for Christmas break or winter break, or Martin Luther King Day is coming up, or President's Day is coming up? In fact, I was on a group today, one of the Facebook groups I saw, right? And they have out of school, because school is going to be out in the next couple of Mondays, right, for different holidays. So you got to tell your customer, you need to tell your customer why they want to book a party. You got to start putting it in their head, because they don't know why they want to have a party sometimes. So in your 99 Reasons to Party download, which we gave you in the email, and if you're watching this video, you stumbled across it, go try to find it somewhere. I'll try to link it in the video on YouTube. If you go to our Instagram or our TikTok channel, I have it linked in our link tree. Like you can download 99 Reasons to Party on there. And you can also screenshot this if you'd like to. And so 99 Reasons to Party, I took a highlighter to all the ones in yellow to the things I have done, all the paint parties that I have absolutely done, right? And so not going to go through all of them in detail, but I'm going to continue to put in your mind different things that are probably in your location that you haven't thought of, right? So of course, I work with women and children primarily. Now, today, I work a lot with companies, but I'm connected to those companies because of the women in my network, right? Because women work in the workplace. And so, because they work in the workplace, they are connecting me to their companies, right? But here's some things that you can look off of the screen here. Anniversaries, definitely have done that. Apartment complex. I'm going to talk more about that in the next slide here, because that was a big one for me. I've done events at baby showers, bachelorette parties. If you watched any of my other videos, I had a really fun bachelorette party. They actually found me on the Gallery on the Go website. They were coming in from like Miami and Chicago and rented an Airbnb and found us on the website. So but it was a bachelorette party. And that's the thing. If someone asks you to have a party, you gotta be like quick to be like, yes, I have artwork for that, or I have this great idea for that, because you're kind of co-hosting with whoever it is that's having a party, right? So you need to have fun ideas. You should be on Pinterest. You should know like fun food and fun drinks. And don't worry if you're not there yet. You will continue learning from me how to do that. Some other fun ones on here are like the Boys and Girls Club. And that can really just trigger your mind to say, like, any nonprofit, right? Other mentoring organizations, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I actually work for a mentoring organization called Save Our Youth. And so, yes, kids love to paint. Kids with their mentors love to paint. And just because they're nonprofits does not mean they don't have money. Okay. I'm telling you, there are grants out there for education. There are grants out there for nonprofits for them to have money to spend. Another one that you see on the list here, number 17, the Boys and Girls, nope, that was the Boys and Girls Club. Sorry, not number 17, was Girl Scouts, number 46. Girl Scouts are going to be out selling cookies. They do something with that money. They pay people like me to come do a paint party with them, right? So never think, oh, they're a nonprofit. Oh, they're a youth organization. They don't have money. They do have money to spend. So you can charge them. Might they ask for a discount? Probably. They usually do. But that's up to you, right? So looking out for those types of groups, Boys and Girls Clubs, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, things like that. Other fun ones on this list are other groups that get together for whatever reason. On here, you can see a bunco group. Oh my gosh, I didn't highlight number 23, a campground. I've painted at camp before. But bunco groups, book clubs, Bible study groups, like people who already get together for whatever reason, like they're already a sewing group, a crochet group, a baking group, a cooking group, anything like that. If they already get together, they like each other, there's no reason why they wouldn't like to paint, because even if they're a book club, You can paint books. You can paint a stack of books. If they're a gardening club, we have tons of paintings about plants and gardening, right? So clubs, find those clubs. Where do you find them? They're usually like on Facebook groups or community groups. There's, I think, a website called Meetup. Meetup.com. You can buy a subscription to them too, but you can go scan them and see the different groups that are meeting up. So even if they're like a cooking club, there's paintings that you can make around food and wine and drinks, right? So that's fun. um Coffee shops, bars, restaurants, right? They all are spaces that have room. You're looking for places that have a place to gather, especially if you're a mobile paint party business, right? You're going to them. It needs to be somebody who has space for you to paint in. So that's another idea that you got to think about. And you can think untraditional things like a veterinarian's office or the fire department, which actually I'm going to get to those government entities as well. Let me catch my breath 1 second here. Yeah, we've talked about let me talk about those government entities because that has been a big source for me as well. I paint a lot with my county. Okay, so our county has all sorts of services. They have animal services, they have human services, they have youth services. Their health and wellness department got a hold of our information, and so she books us out for a lot of their different departments. So I painted with their preschool department. They're all under the county, and it's great because they have facilities and they have me in all the time, and so I get used to painting with the different people at the county. And they not only are they random events throughout the month, throughout the year, but then I do their annual event. I do an annual event at their foster care event. So it's a big one at Christmas time, and I could pretty much count on them calling me around the first Saturday of December. But I've also painted the picture that you see on the screen. I've painted with the Adams County Sheriff's Department, right? And so police, law enforcement, fire department. I painted with the women from our local fire department. You can also create events. Especially on my community right now, are doing a lot of like police awareness and engagement for like youth to feel safe around our first responders, right? And that's a very important mission. So you can contact your local law enforcement, be like, do you want to do paint with a cop? You just got to get creative. And I know your voice needs to get creative to actually call them. That's why I love when people are part of Artsy, because not only do we share these ideas, but you get to use the word we paint with the fire department, we paint with the police department, right? Because I really have, and you're now part of an association that has. So let me talk about some of the other pictures. Obviously, you see everything highlighted on the group. Those are the things that I have done. I have also seen some other things done. I don't know why I didn't highlight real estate firm, because the real estate groups are actually big. I've done events for them. The other thing I want to share with you is that's also part of our Artsy manifesto. Let me go back there. As we paint with people from ages to 3 to 103. The other thing you don't see here is like, it does say art. We believe that art is timeless and it transcends all generations. So not just ages, but it belongs to all people. And I like saying that because I have painted in the morning at a birthday party in a mobile home in a very tight space, very like not high income necessarily, but they still had a great birthday party for their kid. And then that same evening went and drove to a house that had like a 9-car garage, right? And so that's also the beauty of our business, is it just transcends all sorts of cultures, economic structures, all of those different things, and can cross all sorts of services because art belongs to everyone. All right, so back to these pictures. I just want to paint with you some more ideas. The top picture, the top one, I think, if you can see my mouse here, with them in the United States. That was a book club. I'm sorry, that was the book association, college book association group. I don't even remember how they found us, probably found us on the website. And because they were coming in from all over the country, we came up with this United States artwork piece. And it was super fun. And I created conversation starters and things, and for them to get to know each other, and things that they would paint inside of their United States, to talk about like where they were from, what part of the country. And again, they were there for a conference. Big money. Conferences are big money. And if you can get in that space, more power to you. The other one, the Adams County ones on the right, that was their wellness department. And so these workers here are remote all the time. They hardly get to see each other in person. So they got together to have a party. The bottom right, I just thought that was a fun photo that I found, but these are caregivers. They care for elderly people in their life, and this group gets together so that they can kind of just get a break from that. And so, very, just people who need camaraderie. I don't even know why I attempt to say that word. It's not a good word to say. So, anyhow, so that's more of the paintings, and these are all my own parties, right, that I am sharing with you here. And again, I could go through that whole list, but I know pictures are tell a little bit more. So I like to always share some of my favorite stories because, as Dr. Seuss says, like, oh, the places you'll go. And when I started out my paint party business, I did not know where it would take me. I didn't realize like it would open up so many doors for me, and I would be able to tag it on to a lot of different places that are just places for me. And one of those is I love to do mission trips. That was actually one of the reasons I left my job in the first place and wanted to be a stay-at-home parent and also be able to serve with my church more. So I had the opportunity to go to Haiti. And when I went to Haiti, we took a trunk full of art supplies and we painted with orphans at an orphanage. A picture you don't have here, I could not find it. I need to find it, but I did artwork with women who were deaf with a deaf ministry in Haiti, which was really awesome because art spoke a language that I could not speak, right? They were deaf people. So painted there. Another one of my most favorite recents was I do art at the women's prison. And so of course these I don't get paid for. Like these are just reasons to party. And these are things, places where the art entertainment world will take you if you're willing, right? And so I go to these free events sometimes and they end up turning into money though, because someone finds out about it because of whatever reason. The prison one's a great example. I went in there because I actually do prison ministry. And so I just love that they allowed me to come in and like bring all my paintbrushes and my canvases, and I got to paint with them and got to learn more about them, and it was wonderful. And then the staff wanted to paint with me, right? So that turned into an opportunity for a future event, which is great. The other pictures that you don't see here when it comes to prison ministry work that I've done is I've actually painted with Prison Fellowship, and so you can go look them up, and they actually have a course called New Beginnings, and they do artwork kind of as a therapeutic thing. It's also Bible-based art. And so because I just had this experience, it like naturally flowed in with that too. And I'm just telling you this because when I say create a life you love using art, like it's not always just about making money. You actually start to get to do art with your own kids, or you start doing art for yourself because you've discovered that you've liked it. Or I do a lot of art with my Bible study ladies that I also just do for free. And it's just because we express different things throughout art. So it's not always just about that. And it can transform into so many things for you. um, I know some of our previous guides turned into art teachers. They hung up their apron and stopped doing part-time paint parties because they went to college and they went to school to learn to be art instructors, or it led into owning their own craft store or their own studio for whatever other reason. So you never know where it might take you. The bottom center picture is the picture of my biggest party, which was 100 women at one time. And by biggest, I mean by my own party, because I have done events with 300 or 400 people, but I've had like 4 other people come help me with that, 4 other reps come help me with that. And this one in particular, I had a couple of helpers that I paid, but I didn't partner with other guides. I don't know if that makes any sense. So anyway, these are just a couple of special parties for me that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to hone in on a couple of bigger tips for me to tell you on how to fill up your calendar. So the bottom left, I already talked about the marriage conference. So a great way to fill up your calendar is to partner up with an organization that has repeatable events. So like this marriage conference, they meet every other month. Every other month, I have an event with them. It's the same artwork every single time. Now, has that happened a lot? Probably not. But you can find people who have repeat events, or like bars and restaurants that are going to have you out multiple times a month, right? That repeat business is what you're looking for. Then you don't have to spend so much time, finding more and new bookings. Then you get to know the clientele, and that becomes really fun because you become like an art tender where you're getting to know your client base because you get repeat business. At this particular marriage conference, I don't get repeat business. It's not the same people all the time. The top left photo, I love to show this photo. This is the very first ever apartment complex I got. And apartment complexes here in Colorado are big. We have a lot of them. So if you live in a bigger city, you these apartment complexes usually have community rooms, and when you go talk to the community manager, they usually have some sort of resident event in there. The reason this is like such a great place to target is you can get big company sponsors like Comcast or Xfinity, whatever they're called, right? They're trying to sell the residents like Xfinity Wireless or something like that, and so they'll pay for you to come in and do some social event because they get to be like the commercial at the activity, right? So you can go find like those luxury high-rise apartment buildings. They typically have a budget for activities. Sorry, I'm hacking up a lung. But another area is like 55 plus communities. They have like lifestyle directors. So you can get on LinkedIn and you can look for community managers, you can look for lifestyle directors, and you're trying to get into these places that have community rooms or community centers. And they have the budget to pay for activities for their community. Or they can subsidize the cost, right? So sometimes they're like, well, my budget's $300 a month. And if I'm going to have you know, 30 people come at, or however many people come, like, well, they can get a discount because they have a way to subsidize that cost, or they use that money to buy food and drink, and then you still charge the residents something. Now, I used to live in a luxury apartment building, and when I moved there, I really got to know more about like the chains and the names of them, right? So once you get into one of them and you learn one of their names, you can learn the names of other ones. And so then you could be like, hey, so and so here in Denver did it, and so here in Broomfield did it. And you probably want to do it too, because you have now become like a vendor in their system and a trusted person. They're like, yeah, we want to have you there too. So apartment complexes or 55 plus communities, anywhere that entertain their residents. And I would include with that senior facilities. If you have a heart for working with elderly, you can absolutely get into like assisted living places or nursing homes. Of course, you have to determine the age. Even nursing homes, they might paint more like the children or children's rates. You can again get into some repeat business with them as well. And yeah, super fun to get into that repeat business, but into those community where people live. The one on the right, the reason I like to show this is because we painted outdoors. Like, remember, we painted on campgrounds. You can paint outside. So, yes, if you live anywhere near a lake or campgrounds or resorts or anything like that, you can absolutely get into that line of work too. But the other thing I wanted to share with you about this particular painting was one thing that transformed my business was being part of a networking group. So I joined a networking group pretty early on in my business, a couple different ones, but one of them was called Camp Experience. It was an all female based business, women's business group. And there you built authentic relationships with other women who owned businesses. And that was super transformative in my business. That changed everything. That's where I got the marriage conference lead from that woman who was also in our networking group. Not only did she like know me and trust me, but she was willing to give me like the contract for this particular event, right? And so much of my business to this day still comes from being part of that women's networking group. And so I met a lot of financial planners and real estate owners. I'm sorry, real estate people. What do you call them? Realtors in there. And they hired me for personal events, private events, birthday parties, things like that, customer appreciation events. Plus, I actually would do art at our actual women's networking events, like our camp experience, like this picture that you see here. So networking is a great way to get more bookings as well. All right, I think that's all I have on my slideshow. And I will just finish up with a few more tips that I have here. Let me pull them up and let me take another drink break. So yeah, you need to look around. So my business, by the way, when I started my business, I lived in a neighborhood where there was nothing. We didn't even have a grocery store at the time and no library. I mean, and I'm talking like within, 20 minutes of where I lived. I could drive into the neighboring city and there was a library or there was, other businesses, but I lived in a fairly brand new community. At the time, this was 20 years ago, that I moved into my house. And so 14 years ago that I started my business, there was still hardly anything here. But what was around were schools and churches. And I was able to, and as soon as the new pub, not pub, it was like a tap house came in, I was able to start doing parties there. And then we always had a community center that was like foundational to our neighborhood. And so we got into there right away as well. So you got to look around what's around you, right? What's in your radius? You are a community art ambassador. So look at what's right in front of you. And sometimes we miss that. What is right in front of you? The fire department, the police department, the local vet, the dentist. They might want to do customer appreciation events. And again, I've already talked about you are in charge of giving people a reason to party. So you're going to create images on your social media. You're going to tell people why they want to party. So holidays that are coming up, something that is seasonal happening. Friends, just getting together with your girlfriends is like so therapeutic, right? Like you got to remind people like, hey, are you stressed out? It's time to get together with your girlfriends, right? You need a girls' night out. You got to get into their mind to tell them why they need your services. Hey, when was the last time you had a family reunion? Get together and do a paint party family reunion. It's a great, easy way. I'll take care of all the planning. You take care of the food and drink. You invite the people there. It's a really fun and easy way to have a family reunion. And then this is one of my favorite things. I like to teach our Artsy members to go to, you can just go to Google and type in like national theme days. And there's fun days. There's like donut day. There's margarita day. There's inspire your heart with art day, which is actually coming up here in January 31st. It's one of our favorite days here at Artsy. It's called Inspire Your Heart with Art Day. And so as soon as you get up ahead of those days, there's like National Beer Day, National Bike to Work Day, all those things. And we have paintings for all of those things, right? So you can do that. The other thing is what's trending. What is like super popular? Like Taylor Swift was super popular. I mean, look at that. I have my sparkle error thing right there. Whatever is trending at the time, artwork can totally go along with it. Football, Super Bowl, basketball playoffs, all of those things. Okay, and then this is the last thing I want to talk about is just that repeat business and how do you get it? Because you want to work smarter, not harder. Once you find out who your niche is, once you start getting in front of people, you got to take care of people at the party, right? So people at the party who have now painted with you are primed to become your next host or to keep coming back to your parties, right? You got to have great customer service. You want to be fun. You want a reason for them to continue to book with you and come back and back and back for more, right? So do surveys at your party, collect people's names, emails, phone numbers. If you're selling tickets online, you're databasing those names, phone numbers, and emails so that you can send out a newsletter and be like, hey, this is what's coming up. This is what I have planned over the next season, right? I'm booking Valentine's days. And so you create a customer database to create some loyalty to you. So it's good customer management is important. You also always need to be ready to tell people what you do because as you meet people, they're like, what do you do? Are you wearing t-shirts about painting? So always keeping photos on your phone about what you do because when you tell somebody in an elevator, oh, I do painting parties, they're like, what is that? Oh, I've kind of heard of that. You're like, oh, it looks like this, right? And you just show them right on your picture. And that's a reason to party. Like you meet someone in the elevator and you're like, can you get 5 or 10 friends together and we can get together? And then the last thing I want to talk about now, you want to go watch some of my other videos that I've posted about different artwork because I talk about creating art clubs, just like that Bunko Club, just like that gardening club. You can start paint clubs, right? And they're painting a travel series or they're painting all the trios that I showed you in this slide earlier. Oh no, that was in a different video. We have a trio club and you give them a reason because they're building a collection of paintings and the painting club has become a painting club. And so that is another thing and that creates that repeatable business. The last thing I will say is at Artsy, we also have this product that we call Create in the Classroom. And this creates repeatable business every single month throughout the school year. And that allows you to create an art club, after school art club. And let me go back to creating a schedule that you want to create. One of the things I realized when I was a stay-at-home mom was I didn't want to always be gone evenings and weekends. And typically, if you're looking for a part-time side hustle, you don't want to work every evening and weekend either, probably, right? And so I had some time available after school. And so how could I tap into the same market where my kids were at? My kids could come to, they could come to the rec center if they wanted to. Now, to be clear, I had sons. None of them ever wanted to come paint with me. But a lot of people in the industry who built up a create in the classroom business, that's why they did it. They could bring their kids to that event. They weren't working evenings and weekends. They were working more like after school and still being able to be home that night or on the weekends. So I just gave you 10,000 reasons to party, more than 99. So I'd like to know where you're going to start. And here's another thing before I go is you can easily consume all the content. I can keep teaching you more and more and more, and it's just filling up, filling up, filling up. But you can get paralysis. Like you don't know where to start. You don't know what to do, right? So you got to get some action and you got to email, you got to post, you got to ask a friend, where would you want to have a paint party? What kind of party would you have? What's the next event coming up? Just go find some pictures and get some interest in those things coming up. Right now it's January when I'm doing this video. If it was me, I would be taking some of these Valentine pictures and be like, who wants to book a party for Valentine's Day, right? You got to get into action. Don't let fear paralyze you. I believe in you. Create a life you love using art. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.